We do have a kind of illustration of the old warning about standing armies in the attitude of the Congress, because if you're trying to get elected, you don't want to antagonize people in your district. And if Lockheed is building part of the F 35 in your district, well, you don't really want to close that down because that would mean the loss of jobs. You also need to raise money to get elected. And the Supreme Court totally opened the floodgates with its decision in 2010 in that regard, in which, dark money and unaccountable money has flooded into our system. Um, we have a populace who, wants to live the good life, doesn't pay much attention to foreign policy, is easily swayed by the malicious propaganda that populates the airwaves during election time, in which apparently it's okay to just say all kinds of ugly things about your adversary without any connection with the truth and have an impact. So we do have a kind of oligarchical structure now in our political life, which is very disheartening and disturbing to people who believe in democracy. We need a third party that would reflect these sentiments. But the historical record of third parties is that when you run them, it always somehow gives the election verdict to the people that you really dislike rather than to the people. And that's happened so many times in American history. In 1844, Clay was defeated by the abolitionists, and we got Polk instead in the Mexican War. And in 1912, we got Wilson, the minority president. There are a lot of instances in which the third party, which seems like such a great idea, is in fact the road to ruin somehow. I do think it's a great historical tragedy that the Democratic Party, largely under the influence of Hillary Clinton, accepted the neoconservative gospel, and that that's disheartening because the Democratic Party was, since Vietnam, the repository of such anti-war sentiments as the Republic expressed. And there were a lot of Democrats who did faithfully reflect that view. And they kind of got, washed out after the triumphalism associated with the end of the Cold War, and then with the war on terror. And so I think there's a lot of Democrats out there that are trying to reestablish that. Godspeed to them insofar as they can. Of course, there's a lot of Republicans who feel the same way, and maybe we could look toward a revival of the Republican Party of Robert Taft one of these days. I wouldn't bet the farm on it, but there's certainly among ordinary Republicans a lot of people who are sick and tired of our warmongering abroad. All the public opinion polls show that, and so there's definitely an opportunity for an enterprising politician to pick up on that. But as I say, they face a lot of obstacles in terms of money and organization and things of that sort that has thus far or recently muted their voices.